Hey guys, welcome back to another DJI Air 3 video, and this week we're actually going to be looking at long exposure photography, which means we're also going to be looking at the Freewell all-day 8-pack, and we're specifically going to be looking at the ND1000 and ND2000. By the way, if you're new, hello, my name is Dimitrios and I create videos on drones, photography and everything in between, and it's a mix of entertaining and educational content. Do you know what? My mind just went blank. Normally my current subscribers will hear me repeat that I used to fly the Mini 2 and I upgraded to the Air 3, and as I learned to share my journey with you guys on this drone because it was just so overwhelming, but I pretty much know what I'm doing with this drone now. So yeah, that segment is probably for my current subscribers to not hear me repeat myself, but I said it in a different way. Anyways, let's get on with the video. So first of all, a disclaimer, Freewell did not send me these filters here. I purchased them with my own money, so I can give a fair review on these. But we're only going to be covering the ND1000 and 2000 today. So just as a quick overview for these, I actually spent just over 200 Canadian dollars on these filters. And if you don't have a set of ND filters, this one pretty much has everything. So I put a link in the description box down below, and these are affiliate links. So if you decide to purchase these filters or anything else through that link, I get a small commission and it helps out the YouTube channel for me to make more videos for you. Now, what is actually in the box? So in the box, you get a set of 8 filters, and these will be ND polarizing filters from ND4, 8, 16, 32, and 64. You have a circular polarizer filter, and then an ND1000 and 2000. You also get a nice storage case with these, and I actually prefer this case compared to the one I reviewed last week. It has like this carbon fiber effect. It's a nice chunky case, and it has a magnetic closure as well. Let's try that again so it's in focus. There we go. You also get in the box some stickers, some guides with QR codes, and a cleaning cloth. Now, specifically for long exposure photography, we're going to be looking at the ND1000 and 2000, and I've always wanted to try long exposure photography during the day. So I have done this at night, and it is a lot easier because there's less light, and you can use an ND8 or ND16 to get long exposure photos and have those lovely light trails. If you want to check out that video on night mode, you can click the link up here or here. I really get confused every week. So now let's head over to the testing portion of the ND1000 and 2000. So again, for a reference point, I flew the drone with no filter. I took a bunch of photos, just with auto and manual. It doesn't really matter at this point. But when you do add one of these filters, the first thing you need to do is switch over to manual or pro mode, so you can control the shutter speed, and you want to keep your ISO as low as possible, so keep this at 100. You also want to switch over to the 12 megapixel mode to be able to get longer shutter speeds of 2 to 8 seconds. In the 48 megapixel mode, you can only do up to 2 seconds. So when taking a shot with a longer exposure, after you press the shutter, don't move the drone. Just leave it where it is until it finishes taking the shot. And that's really it. So now let's look at the results for both these filters. So the ND1000 is actually 10 stops of light, and the sweet spot will depend on the type of day and the direction you're facing. You also need to take into account that the focal lengths on the DJI Air 3, the 24mm has an aperture of 1.7, which is wider and lets in a lot more light compared to the 70mm, which is an f2.8. Now, I got good results with both 2 and 8 seconds to try them out with the ND1000. However, when you're up in the air, take photos at 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 8 seconds. Just take as many as you can and then just pick the best one later when you're editing. Now, sometimes the image would be too overexposed and blow out the highlights, and you won't be able to recover the image. Now, the best way to figure this out if it's going to be overblown is look at the exposure value in the bottom right-hand corner. You can get away at being plus 1.7, plus 2, but as soon as it's plus 3 or more, you can forget about it. You won't be able to recover the highlights in the image. Here's some example shots with the ND1000, unedited, and then with my edit on top. Now we move on to the ND2000, which is 11 stops of light. Now this is a very dark ND filter. So a day like today where it was really cloudy and overcast, it made it harder to see. So challenging obstacles like power lines and tree branches will be even harder to see. So just be cautious when flying with this ND filter. Now the results will vary again between 2 and 8 seconds, depending on the type of day and which direction you're facing. So I was still able to blur out the highlights with some of the images at 24mm using the 8-second shutter speed. So the way to resolve this is just bring the shutter speed back, maybe 4 seconds or even 2 seconds. Like I said, just take as many photos in the same spot while you're there at the different shutter speed lengths, and then just pick the best one afterwards. And that way you don't have to go up and down all the time when you're flying. Also, you could avoid having blown out highlights if you have the drone facing north rather than south, where the direction of the sun, well, where it would have been. So again, here are some more example shots with the ND2000 with the various shutter speed lengths. Before we move on to what I actually think, I actually have another set of testing that I did on the fly. Now, if you have been following me on Instagram, you probably would have seen a sneak peek of this on my stories. So during my testing, it occurred to me that hyperlapse mode is essentially a series of images taken, merged together to create a video. And as the ND1000 and 2000 are mainly for photos, why not use the opportunity to try and create a long exposure hyperlapse? Can we get a smooth hyperlapse video during the day? So firstly, I removed the filter and ran a waypoints hyperlapse to get a reference point. And this is what it would like during the day without a filter, basically. Now, I only tested the ND1000 here, but the good thing is I could just load the waypoints and then not worry about having difficulty to see the path, as the waypoints have already been set and the drone will just follow the same path as before. And it actually came out better than I thought. Now, the settings I use for this hyperlapse would be a 2-second timer, and it caps out at this with the hyperlapse mode. You can't go longer than this. At a 4-second interval, and then just the duration, pick how long of a duration you want the clip to be. So what do I actually think? Well, if you want to add some more creative shots to your photography, then yes, pick up a set of these filters. Now, I wouldn't use the ND1000 or 2000 for video, because then your shutter speed will be too low for your frame rate, and then your video will just come out really blurry. I mean, if you want that effect, go ahead, but it's just not gonna look the same. And if you haven't got a set of ND filters, then you might as well pick up this pack, because it does have pretty much everything that you'll need, from the ND4 to 64, a CPL, and the long exposure filters as well. And if you haven't checked out last week's video for more creative photography photos and videos, where I covered the LPR and mist filter. All right, that's it. Next week, I'm actually thinking of doing my 6-month review with the DJI Air 3. It has been 6 months since I've had this drone. And I also have some FPV footage still from Cyprus, and I just haven't had a chance to edit that. So I need to get around to maybe editing those probably in January when it's going to be freezing cold. So if there's anything you want to learn about the DJI Air 3, put a comment in the section down below. Also, let me know what drone you're flying. Is the DJI Air 3 one of the drones that you wish to upgrade to? Subscribe for more videos on drones, photography, and everything in between. And YouTube recommends you should check out this video next. See you in the next one. Peace.